I feel like I say this a lot with Rpods, but I don't know that I've ever seen somebody else quite pull this off. Welcome everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Forest Rivers Media Bay today. Get my hands on a bunch of new Rpods at your request. Folks said you like the existing footage we've had out and you want to see more, and this is a good one. So when I first just saw the floor plan, there is Salem and Wild would make a little thing called a 169 that on paper looks very similar. It's a front dinette, a walk-through mid-bath, and a rear private bedroom slide. But this does everything that one doesn't. Instead of single axle, it's tandem. Instead of stick and tin, it's laminated with Asdel. Just everything in this is just taken up a notch, like the tire pressure monitoring, the bigger air conditioner, all the things that I've seen other manufacturers try to not do to nickel and dime it to death. This one does all of that and more. So you got the little outdoor griddle station. The bedroom, you know, you've got a queen bed slide, but you've got kind of like mine and yours wardrobe and dresser storage, plus a 2-seat diner desk, essentially, in your bedroom. I don't even know why I'd need 2 chairs in the bedroom, but if you're like doing dual laptop warrior action and with a kung fu grip, you've got a cool place in the bedroom to pull this one off. And considering it's on a tandem axle and it's 8 foot wide and it's a little bit bigger, it's a cozy, compact model. But it doesn't feel as stifling and suffocating as some other things that I've seen here. The walk-through bathroom, good dedicated pantry linen storage in there, big XL vent fan. The front living area is just a gigantic U-dinette, which is cool because it can kind of function sort of like a 2-bedroom sort of floor plan. Could be really handy for like single parents or buddy hunting camp or something like that. But you could take the table out and just use it like a big open lounge space too. Like for a small kitchen, actually have dedicated drawers sounds so stupid, but they nail it every time in these little Rpods. And this is about as big as they come right here. I think we're about 25 foot tip to tail, tandem axle, not super duper heavyweight, still within the half-ton realm. Like this thing is kind of awesome. And when I can, I always like to try to put you in the driver's seat. That's why I try to get out of the way in these videos. I try to give you more of a your point of view style. So like if you come to see one of these in person at a store, I want this video to represent it as fairly and truly as possible. That's why I don't use the crazy wide angle lenses. And it does mean that sometimes the view on this camera gets a little bit tight and tricky, especially in an RV like this, which sometimes gets a little tight in certain spaces. But this is how I would want to see it. I want to know what I'm really getting and not some fictitious version. You know, it's like when you order something off the fast food menu and then the picture lies about the burger you're going to get. I don't want to be a burger liar. Yeah, apparently that's my life's mission. Anyway, let's start right up top here. We've got a 15,000 BTU central air conditioner, which I'm very glad that they centralized this because you do have that pass-through middle bath and then a very, very private rear bedroom, which has become kind of hard to find. So the central air will make sure that everything stays cool and comfortable. The converter fuse box is what's down there below the drawers with the blue sticker. So, you know, you don't have to worry about a slide accidentally blocking that. And while we're standing here staring at the kitchen, let's go ahead and talk about it. This is a 3-in-1 electric oven. Air fryer, convection, and microwave functions. As we work our way up, this thing has, I think, very respectable functional counter space. And even the sink can kind of get in on the action thanks to that sink cover, the painter's palette style sink cover that you have over there. And these are dual high output burners. 3-burner stovetops have a high and a low. This is 2 highs so that you can actually, you know, boil water and stuff like that. Our cabinetry is all pocket screwed and lumber core. That is a more shallow cabinet, whereas these are deeper. Give me a little bit, and I'm actually going to swing back through and open all of that up for you. What I think is really awesome on this one are the different ways that you can use the front end of it. This has an extra large U-dinette. Now, I've got the camera basically up at the ceiling to give you more of a bird's eye view of this thing right now, by the way. And part of the reason I've done that is to help draw attention to the fact this table can shiggle, which is shift and wiggle a little bit, depending on your personal size and stature. If you need to slip slide it one way or the other, you can kind of set it up a little bit of however you need to. And I really like the fact they put it on a single telescopic pedestal leg because that means that it'll remain pretty darn sturdy and stable, but it can still push down into a sleeper position as needed. So they made this one space very, very multifunctional. Speaking of sleepers, it can fold down into a pretty darn big one. And if you take those left and right lighter colored cushions off, you can get even more space here. I don't have the hard measurements of it. Our local stores could always tape measure that for you. You might notice this extra cushion just mysteriously appeared. It's a loose cushion that ships with the camper so that if you do want to fold the dinette down into a sleeper, that's what actually allows you to, fully cover the table space in the down position. Now, going through everything in a little more detail, couple drawers here under the sink. You might notice the top drawer not quite as deep as the bottom drawer. That is due to the fact that you've got the sink here. So, you've got sink plumbing in the way. They couldn't make it quite that large. These are kind of difficult, I think, to show a size reference on, because on camera this looks really small. So putting my hand in there, it absolutely is dinner plate sized. But I don't know that I always love a circular sink, but if you're going to do a circular sink, I think they did a pretty good job with it, giving you a fairly reasonable amount of space there. And again, this is just full overhead cabinet area. Keep a lot of mac and cheese up in that sucker right there. Jars the applesauce, little mac and cheese. Chicken strips and the mac and cheese. Sorry, that just became such an internet memed kind of sound thing going on there. Now over here, this is, I guess this would kind of, in a sense, be the pantry space in the camper. They didn't really have the opportunity to do a normal traditional vertical pantry, but I can't really fault them. Considering the size of the RV, I think this kitchen doesn't suck. And of course, a quick look at the refrigerator over here. Also, they had just kind of a funny little space between the door and below the TV. So they at least built something out. They gave you a place to kind of set a phone down and charge it. And the cargo netting makes that space, I think, actually functional. Now, if I slide back a little bit, if I lean all the way back here in the dinette, if you want a little bit of a daytime lounging function, well, first of all, you'd probably close the refrigerator, which I haven't done yet. But that is a 12-volt smart TV. So depending on what sort of internet connectivity you have, you could hook your Netflix or something right up to that, whatever works for you. I don't even know why I feel the need to ask this question, but I'm kind of curious. Mobile RVers, what is your preferred streaming service? I've never asked anything like that. I don't think it doesn't change. It doesn't affect the price of tea in China necessarily, but I'm curious right now. Walk through middle bath with sliding privacy doors here. Anybody, that clicking sounded, anybody, can you identify that in the background? In the meantime, we've got our central vacuum system, which is actually located centrally in the RV down there. And some, I think, really solid storage space over here in this bathroom. You got that tall vertical kind of, it could be, I could see some people using part of it for like overflow kitchen, potentially pantry space. Some people think it's weird to do that in an RV bathroom, but as long as you're talking like canned goods and stuff like that, it doesn't really bother me. My grandmother used to do it. It doesn't hurt. The Campbell's soup that's stored in there does just fine. That is a small sink, but it did allow them some decent counter space in that bathroom. So overall, I'm not too upset there. I like the motion light down there by the central vac as well. So if you're walking through this thing at night, it's just enough you can see what you're doing without getting blinded by the light and revved up like a deuce. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. I don't know. Space around the toilet. Legroom was a little tight. It makes me wonder if they couldn't have maybe pivoted that toilet just a little bit. I almost said turlet. Anyway, the rectangular shower here, it's a little bit wider than some of the other ones that I've seen, which, if you're facing straight toward that wall or straight toward the shower door, can actually give you some decent elbow space. Oh, sorry, almost dropped the camera. Now, talk about headroom. Looking at the left side of the screen, this RV is 6.5 foot tall from floor to ceiling. And that does mean if you're tall, like over 6 foot like me, your head's going to be up in that skylight for sure. Although I do really like how they give us a place to actually hang some towels in the bathroom. When I stepped in the shower, you may have noticed I was pointing above my head, at the larger vent fan, so you can really keep some air moving in here. And remember, this RV does have central air ducting pushing back through the bathroom and into the private bedroom, so everything should stay a little bit more comfortable. I noticed that they actually added a couple air drops back here in the bedroom because it's a larger room, probably to help make sure you had, plenty of airflow back here. Once again, sliding privacy door into this bedroom, and I'm eyeballing it. I think that is a true queen bed, but if it's not, hopefully we can put some corrections for you on screen right here. At least from this angle, it kind of looks like one to me. The windows giving the airflow on both sides of the bed. Plus, look at the massive headboard window, really opening up the airflow capacity in this whole bedroom right here. When you have a bed in a slide, side stands become very tricky. I like that they did what they could to try to address that. But if you are a CPAP user, this one might be a little bit tricky to potentially navigate. Now, if I kind of climb up over here and do the Burt Reynolds pose behind the camera so that I can give you a look from across the bed, this is what you're looking at right here. So if you want to put a TV up above that window, you'd be able to sit right here in bed and keep right on top of your entertainment. But you've also got your kind of mine and yours hanging closet space on the left and right sides there. And for a small RV, I think the storage capacity they gave you here is pretty darn fine myself. But, I'm a little bit of a biased party, certainly. What's your opinion on this? Now, this I think is interesting. I love the fact that they're trying to get creative and give us the potential for some sort of desk space right here. I don't know that it needs 2 chairs, but if you got 2 laptops going to town, I guess you could both get a little bit of work done. There's only one set of power outlets, but at least they did put some power outlets right down there, kind of at the countertop level. So I think that was a bit of a smarter decision. Oh, hang on. Something I just noticed. Let me get off the bed here. I'm trying to keep my shoes from getting on the furniture. I don't like doing that. You don't have a normal household plug for a TV up here. You have another 12-volt plug. So you might, depending on what you do, get a second TV bracket. You might be able to move the living room TV up to this wall if you want to, or get a second 12-volt TV. Or you could do since you have power outlets down here on the countertop, you could stand a TV there, a frickin' big one, frankly, if you wanted to. Frickin' big one, obviously, is the technical term for something like that. The blackout roller shades that we talked about are going to be really nice back here in the bedroom. Also, I forgot to mention a little bit of storage down here. I like how this is nice and easy lift. I don't like how the slide control motor, or the slide motor controller rather, is so exposed. I would definitely cover that somehow, but that's a big chunk of storage in that thing. And something I also didn't consider, I didn't mention, if you don't want those chairs there, if you're not going to use it as a desk space, you could open that up. You could always load this sucker up with totes. You could put dog kennels and dog dishes and stuff down there. Like, how would you utilize that, countertop potential desk space in this camper? I'm kind of curious. And I don't know if they did it on purpose or not, but I was like, I think I probably got to find a place to put these chairs when I close the slide. And they perfectly fit under this bed. Now, that obviously occupies a lot of potential cargo space, but at least there kind of is a factory supplied dedicated way to store those things and travel with them. And one other thing I noticed, this mattress slides right under that countertop. Which works fine, but if you get an aftermarket really big heavy-duty pillow top mattress, it might not fit there. The good news is there's such an easy workaround for that. When you close the slide, you can just set the mattress on top of that countertop, and it works just fine. Now, that is a Schwintek slide, which means you really shouldn't have that, you shouldn't occupy that in transit. So this RV loses bed function at a travel stop. But your bathroom, your kitchen remain readily accessible. And if you think about it, you still potentially have use of this big fold-down dinette in the front, so you can have some sleeper function in transit. I'm not going to tell you it'll be as comfortable as the bed in the back, but for a quick overnight stay over and a long trip, it might be just enough to get the job done. And it's funny. When I was given a list of the Rpods I was going to be recording today, and when I saw the cargo capacity on this one, I thought it was a mistake. I thought there was an error on the Forest River website because the camper weighs about 4,500 pounds and the cargo capacity is like 2/3 of that. This thing has like between 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of cargo capacity. Folks, I'm not trying to punch other people in the teeth. I just want to use this as an extreme example. I have seen a beautiful Riverstone Legacy top level fifth wheel that had a whopping 1,300 pounds of cargo capacity. And this has more than double that. It has long been my impression that the RVs with higher cargo ratings tend to be the RVs with better service records. And I feel that's likely due to the fact that they're not getting super stressed bouncing down the road. Now, I think I need to clarify and fix something that I mentioned earlier. When the video began, I described this as 8 foot wide. Rpods are interesting. When you have a tandem axle Rpod with no slide, they go to a full 8 foot wide body. But if you have a tandem axle Rpod with a slide out, as this one has, it becomes a 7.5 foot wide body, but with an 8 foot wide tandem axle. Now, what that means is that it's easy to see around this thing. It's very sturdy and stable when you're towing. If you are looking for a highway mileage kind of rig, this might be something to kind of consider. If I was going to seriously tow it and go it everywhere, I might do something like a MORryde or a Road Armor shackle upgrade between the tires, because it is a more basic suspension package. But that's stuff that we could do for you at Bish's. And this Rpod does not suffer from the baby awning that some of them do. If you are a patio awning aficionado, I think you'll like what you get out of this RV right here. They did have to get a little crafty and creative up front. I think they did the best that they could given the circumstance. What I'm getting at here is with that big giant wraparound U-lounge dinette combo thing, they had to partially eat into their front pass-through storage space. Now, what you're looking at there, to give you a size reference, is like the box for the griddle and the bracket and everything. I threw the boxes back in. I pulled the griddle out for display, which is what you're looking at here. While I'm backing up, let's talk some quick construction bits. It does have a stick-built roof, which is going to be great for snow loads and walkability. It is ladder prepped on the back. You'll see when we get there. Your sidewalls, floor are laminated. Your walls do have Asdel layering on the exterior. If you're not familiar with what that means, please leave me a little note in the comment section. In the meantime, we're going to keep on cooking. I really like how they give us a hot and cold outside shower instead of just a cold water sprayer. Sounds dumb, but as somebody who camps, I'm telling you, having that hot water function is kind of nice. Goodyear Endurance radials here for the Eastern built models. Your Hood River Western editions will have a, I always forget, I think it's a Westlake, but more of an off-road looking tire. To pick the RV up, give it a little more ground clearance since there's more off-grid dispersed camping out there. The griddle that we're looking at here will be factory standard as well. You've got the propane cooker hooker down below it. And on the rear wall back here, we are obviously, as I mentioned before, ladder prepped. We are camera prepped. And we have both a rear bumper and a rear receiver. So if you want to put a cargo tray on, carry a generator with you. If your Aunt Edna croaks, you can, hook her onto the back of this thing. Or I guess you could, put a bike rack back there. Well, that's weird. Anyway. Oh, I didn't notice this my first pass through. I always try to share the ups and the downs and the in-betweens and everything, so I hope you appreciate the candid transparency. This is a two-headed sewer monster of sorts here. It looks to me, if I'm reading this correctly, we have a gray water outlet in front of the tires, and then we have our black water outlet behind the tires. My guess is because of the size of this RV, that was just kind of one of those necessary evils, because Rpod doesn't do that a lot. Now, I don't think I unlocked this baggage door. I don't normally do a lot of this live on camera.
Do it live!
Hey, look at that right there. So you get to see the fact that it's not your 751 key. Like everybody and their brother has this key, so this camper doesn't use those keys. But under the headboard area, they have a separate outside storage, which I like the fact that, like, if somebody gets into that baggage door, they can't weasel their way into your camper. And you might notice this is a Schwintek slide system. I think that is a correct execution of a Schwintek slide. It is small. It is fairly shallow. It's not super duper big and long and deep and heavy. To me, that's how those things are supposed to be used. I also really like the fact, like this floor plan looks and feels so much more open, that front window windshield. And if you want it totally open for airflow like we're doing here, you could really get some breezes going through. But if you live in mosquito country, you can also make sure the bugs don't end up eating you alive. So leave me some notes if you haven't, if you're willing. Let me know what you think. What's one thing you'd never change? What's one thing you'd improve if you had a magic Tinkerbell wand and you could change stuff given the opportunity? Tinkerbell's wand couldn't change things. I'm thinking more of like Bewitched. Anyway, when you're ready, we're ready. Give us a call. Leave you links in the video description where you can double check pricing and availability. We are, Rpod is newer with us at Bish's RV, so we're still building up our network with them. We don't have as many out there now as I'd like, but that will continue to improve and resolve over time. And of course, we can always just ship one of these right to your front door. They're on wheels after all. Now, we don't do hidden dealer fees, and we'll winterize your camper for you at no charge every year. Bunch of other things that you get with us at Bish's. So when you're ready, we'd love to meet you, basically. Till then, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.